So you're not sitting around waiting, thinking, okay, one day the light switch is going to turn on and I'm going to be successful. It doesn't work that way. There is no light switch. It's a constant, one day at a time, and you just keep progressing and staying consistent.
Bam, what's goody kings and queens? Jordan Baywood here, and today we're going to go to a boutique music studio. We're going to visit SAMORI Coles with Lil Drumma Boy Studios. He's going to teach us all the things you need to do to get started in production on a budget. And best of all, he's gonna give us a tour of his boutique music studio. Let's get right to it. Let's get it! Let's go. Good guys, this is Samori. He's the owner of the studio. He's gonna give us a tour and some amazing knowledge about engineering and the recording process. So what is this right here we're in right now?
So basically the studio is Little Drumma Boy Recordings.
Okay.
Right, we're on South Street right here in the heart of Philadelphia. Right now we're actually in the lobby.
Okay, this is the lobby.
This is the lobby, and we consider our studio a boutique studio. So even in our lobby, we needed it to be functional.
Yeah.
So in our lobby, you see we have the M-Audio VX5 monitors. We have a subwoofer on the floor. We have the screen. So if we're teaching classes, which is a big thing that we do at the studio, we can do it in this room if we need to.
Nice.
And also we can vibe in the room.
You can vibe.
The different services you do here is like recording, mixing, and also you do live seminars, right?
Right, so we're a full service recording studio.
Yeah.
Right, so we record, mix, master. We do a lot of hip hop, a lot of R&B. And we also do audiobooks and podcasts, but we also for the past 17 years have been training folks in audio engineering, music production, and the music business. So we've really geared our business toward independence, you know, really helping them to sharpen their skills. Or if they're artists and they want to really get out there, we give them that quality sound, mixing and mastering that they need, you know, to really represent themselves.
Yeah.
Okay,
so let's see the studio.
Yeah, let's do it.
Why don't you show us around?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of this stuff out real
This is
quick.
nice.
So yeah, guys, this is the control room, man. We're running the Behringer X32 digital mixing console, which I really like this board because it's really like a great hybrid. It's a traditional mixing board, so you could use it for live events and things like that, but it also is an audio interface and a control surface. So, you know, we plug this into our Mac USB and it will sync with Pro Tools or Logic or FL Studio, whatever we're using at the time. And then this half of the board actually becomes a control surface. So we can control the faders in Pro Tools and Logic and whatever DAW we're in right here on the board. We're running into an Avalon preamp, you know, which really has become somewhat of an industry standard. Gives you a nice warm saturated sound. We're going into some Yamaha HS8, and we also like to reference through these Auratone 5C Super Sound Cubes. Now they don't make these anymore. Now they make something called the Avantone by Behringer's, but these are really made famous by Bruce Sweden, who was Michael Jackson's engineer.
These help you mix in mono, right? Because this is more of a monophonic sound.
Well, you know what, they can be. So we do use one. That's a great question, man. We do use one. So we do typically mix in mono with these. We have two here, but we usually have one running off of our amp, and so that way we can listen to the whole mix in mono.
So this is a really good point that they're bringing up that I didn't even know, and I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't even realize. What is the purpose of mixing in mono?
There's a couple of things. Number one, you can hear if there are any phase issues.
Okay.
Right. So if you've got, for example, if you're recording a band and you've got multiple mics in the room, those mics are picking up sound from different areas of the space, right? Some of those mics might be picking up a wave from like a vocal going this way, right? Another mic might be picking up the wave going slightly altered from that particular flow. And when they collide, they can cause filtering. They can, what we call comb filtering, where all of a sudden that vocal or whatever sound it is almost sounds like it has a flanger on it. But it doesn't. It's because there's phase issues. There's phase cancellation. So in mono, you can hear the phase, which is awesome. But also in mono, for me, it just really helps me to fine tune the overall mix.
So mixing in mono is like, it's not left and right, guys. You're just hearing it on top of each other, really, right? In the dead center. Start mixing in mono, guys. And all you have to do is literally press the, everything has it. You can just put a direction mixer plugin on it, on your master, and just change it to mono just to check your mix.
And I think the highlight of the room in any studio is the room acoustics.
Okay.
These are custom made panels that we made. They have basically the bass traps are 4-inch mineral wool traps that we made. In your mixing room, you got to make sure you don't have a lot of room reflections, man.
Nice.
And so we make sure we have a really flat sound in here.
I need it. What is this?
Yeah, these are gaming chairs, bro.
Yeah, gaming chairs?
Every studio should have a gaming chair.
This is the comfiest one I've ever sat in, though. What is this called? Do you know?
You know, that's interesting. I don't, man.
Okay.
I should know. I actually got these from Staples, man.
Okay, Staples. I'll check out Staples.
And they match the vibe of the room, so I went with it.
So I would love to know how you even got started in this. How did this? What was the start of it?
As a kid, I always loved making music, man. But after high school, I kind of started to go that traditional route. You know, everybody says, you gotta go to college, you gotta do this thing. So it's kind of like I went to college, got degrees in marketing and finance,
Nice.
Got out, I was a financial analyst for a Fortune 500 company. And for 2 years, I went to work, suit and tie, going, sitting in a cubicle. And I knew it wasn't a life that I wanted to live. And interestingly, this was the mid 90s. So some of my buddies who were still in the neighborhood that I grew up in North Omaha, they were building home studios. It was like Radio Shack mixing boards, right?
Oh, geez.
Casio keyboard. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we loved it. We ended up getting a song on our local radio station.
Wow.
And I loved it. But I knew nothing about the music business, like nothing. So I had this song in heavy rotation and didn't make a penny. But I was just happy to be on the radio.
Right, that's cool.
But after a while, I said, man, you know, something's not working because I'm not really making money. I'm still going to this 9 to 5 I'm not loving. And one day, man, I jumped on the Greyhound bus, came out to the East Coast, and eventually settled in Philly. And I kind of came into this industry at the intersection between analog and digital. I got my first computer in the year 2000 and just kind of plodded along trying to figure it out. Without YouTube, without Google, you know, making a whole lot of bad recordings. A lot of people started to come to me for some answers. You know, how do I use this software program? How do I record and that type of thing? So I started teaching people many years ago. And so I was an artist, I was a producer, I loved music, which I still do. I didn't even see myself as an engineer for a lot of years. Engineering was just something I knew we had to do, and I didn't have the budget to pay recording studios.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna try to do this myself. Over time, me recording other people, teaching other people, putting out music, it eventually spawned into Little Drummer Boy. Focused on independence, focused on helping people achieve a great sound, teaching people. It's just been the same thing.
All right, so I see a really cool room over here. It looks like the recording studio. Can we go over there and check that out?
Absolutely, man. Let's do it.
I love the glass, man. You can see your artist recording. I mean, that's really cool. Tell me about this. What are you recording vocals on?
Yeah, man. So this microphone I'm really excited about, man. This is the VANGUARD V13.
VANGUARD.
Right? This is made by a company out of California called VANGUARD Audio. Love it.
Wow.
It's a tube microphone. They craft these joints in California, and they really went after that vintage sound. Just a really silky mid-range.
Oh.
It's a tube, so it runs into its own little tube pack here.
Oh, no.
And what's crazy about it is you can change the polar pattern. It can be a cardioid condenser. It can be a figure 8. It can be an omnidirectional.
So,
whatever you want it to be. And I was just like, wow. And me and my team, man, we have just loved this microphone. I've used it on strings, vocals, of course, acoustic guitars. I had a couple of vocalists in here the other week, and it was a guy and a girl, and they were doing some backgrounds. And they said, we're going to harmonize. We're both going to get in front of the mic and sing. So I said, no, let's pull this pop filter down. You get on this side, you get on that side. I'll make the mic a figure 8, and it was picking up perfectly.
Oh, so that's a figure 8, front and behind.
Front and back.
Wow.
Figure 8 is front and back. Cardioid condenser is going to be primarily in the front, and then your Omni is going to pick up the entire room.
Wow.
Nice. That's
That
cool.
is insanity. So what headphones are these?
Well, these are just the AKG, K240s.
Okay.
You
just
know,
for the vocalist to hear.
Yeah, for them to hear what they're doing. We have headphone amp in here. This is just a Behringer headphone amp.
Nice.
We do record bands here. or a small ensemble, so we can run 8 pair of headphones out of this thing,
wow,
which sometimes we do need.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, if you're looking at this over here, it looks like a brick, and it's setting the whole vibe for this room, but it's just panels. It's just panels. Can you talk about where you got these?
Absolutely. So I got these panels from Home Depot. You know, what's crazy is they're not that expensive, and they really set a vibe. There's something about your aesthetic. You know, when you're an engineer or you have a home studio, the artists that are coming to work with you, that aesthetic really sets a mood.
Sets the mood.
Yes, it sets a vibe. And I like the brick look. I think it's kind of a classy type of look.
Yeah.
So, of course, we did the brick here. We did the brick in the hallway. We did some brick up front. But they're basically panels from Home Depot. They're not hard to put up and install either, man.
I love that you have LED lights. I'm a big fan. In my studio, I LED it out. And, you know, these aren't expensive either. Get some LED for your studio, you know, for 20 bucks on Amazon. Yeah. So is there another room in this studio?
There is. There is another room. And I got to point out again, it's still all about the room acoustics. Even in this room, it's just all about how your room sounds. And you can you can add a little bit of vibe and aesthetic and also be functional. Like you look at the carpet. It's a decent vibe, but it's functional. It's an absorber as well. You look at the curtain in the back, you know, it's all about vibe, but it's also helping in a practical sense in the room as well.
Well, you would say that arguably one of the most important parts of a good recording environment is room acoustics.
Room acoustics.
Right.
And that's not just in your booth. Most people appreciate that their booth has to be tight, but the room you're mixing in also has to be tight because sound is reflective. It bounces off of surfaces. So you want to absorb that. So there's really 2 ways to deal with reflections. One is absorption, which you'll get like acoustic panels, curtains, carpets. The other is diffusion, which is a whole different process, and which is really made out of kind of wooden structures that diffuse and break up the sound. But those are the 2 ways you want to deal with it.
How much would you say just one of these are, like in material wise? In
material, the material I got, you can do probably 15 to 20 bucks per panel. And that,
for this whole thing?
For the whole thing.
That is insane, guys. So we're going to make a separate video for that after this one. But that's really exciting because it's the most important part of the recording process, like they said. And I know a lot of us don't have our bedroom studios treated right. Shall we get to the next room?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'll follow you guys out.
All right.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is nice. This is very bedroom style.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people could probably relate to this one. Now, what's like the purpose of this room versus, say, like the first room?
Well, this is our B room. So, like I said, at Little Drummer Boy, not only do we record, we train people. We train them in engineering, production, and recording. So we use this room as a classroom where we can teach folks. It's also a room where, as our students get more and more proficient, you know, they're working on their projects back here. They're mixing back here. They're mastering back here. It's just a nice, intimate space, right? We don't necessarily use it to record in, but we have had students who've set up a mic back here and recorded.
Yeah.
Again, we try to make sure all of our rooms sound super tight. So we could set a mic up right in the middle of this room and you're going to get a decent sound as well.
These are amazing, amazing speakers. These are one of my favorites.
Yeah. I really like these. These are JBLs, all right? Nice. JBL 308s. They're 8-inch monitors. I really like an 8-inch monitor so it can really pick up, you know, a full frequency spectrum. You know, you want to get those lows if you're working on trap, hip-hop, R&B, dance, even pop. You want to be able to hear those lows, and so an 8-inch monitor really helps you to hear that low end. And if we do go with a 5-inch like we did in the lobby, we pair that with a subwoofer. A
lot of people that watch this channel are just in their bedroom and they, you know, they have a computer, they might have Logic or FL, but they don't have any other equipment. What's some things that you suggest them to get if they want to start recording their vocals and have the, you know, on a budget?
Right, on a budget. Well, the first thing would be an audio interface. There are USB mics that you can record that USB right into your computer and cut vocals. And if that's your budget, go that route, okay? But if you can do it, get an audio interface.
Okay.
Right? Get yourself an audio interface. Focusrite makes great interfaces.
Yep.
And then you get that and you get yourself a microphone. It's better to save up. You know, you don't got to spend a ton of money I've seen people put studios together under 300, 500 bucks. Interface and a microphone will take you a long way. And a good set of headphones. You know, the headphones I recommend, even if you don't have monitors yet, would be the Audio-Technica ATH M50X.
That's what I have. I recommend it to everybody.
Too. Yeah, I always recommend.
How about it? For me, if you're going under 300, I would check out the Rode NT1A. I think it is a very interesting mic, a great kind of all-purpose mic, very clean microphone. The one thing about the NT1A, your room treatment will matter a little bit. It's picking up everything.
Yeah.
It's picking up everything. I always say, you know, use what you have.
Yeah.
So if you got a mic and your room's not treated, don't stress over it too much. Use what you have, use what you can afford. As long as you have a mic, I think you're in pretty decent shape. And what I used to do as it relates to room treatment is I would just say, okay, I'm just gonna face a corner. I'm gonna go to a corner in my room. The first treatment I used, I went out and got mattress pad from Walmart. The yellow mattress pad. I've seen that done before. And I cut that stuff in a couple of big rectangles, and I put one on one side of the corner, the other on another side, and I faced into it, knowing that, you know, that foam was going to handle the reflections and do my absorption. Wow. So use what you have.
That is so awesome. I love to see that. So guys, that's about it for the tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave his Instagram links down below, and if you're in Philly, come, you know, book a session with him. We'll leave his website down. They can book a session on your website.
They can book a session at ldb10.com. If you're interested in audio engineering techniques, I have some free videos on YouTube.
Yo, thanks, man. It's always cool coming by. It really is.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Jordan, Alex, man.
Yes.
Everybody needs to follow you dudes, man, because it's pretty cool that you come out to Philly to a studio like mine and kind of check us out and give us that love, man.
Yeah.
All the love back to you guys.
Yeah, man, this was awesome. We're going to keep creating content. This was amazing. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. Give everybody in this video a follow. Every link will be down in the description to learn more. So, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time. Peace!
If I call, don't answer. Do me this favor. It'll make things worse for me. If you answer me, giving me fantasies of what this could be. If I call, don't answer. Do me this favor. It'll make things worse for me. If you answer me, giving me fantasies